Welcome, and thank you so much for joining our Napa Valley session in celebration of some of Napa Valley's most sought-after wines, the wines of Premiere Napa Valley. Each year, winemakers craft their finest, most innovative and creative wines for Premiere, which in turn retailers and restaurateurs around the world purchase and sell to their top customers and collectors. These wines are truly rare and never produced in more than 60, 120, or 240 case or bottle lots. Tonight, DLynn Proctor will explore the creation of these wines with two of Napa Valley's noted winemakers, Peter Heitz of Turnbull and Kian Tavakoli of Gene Edwards. You may recognize DLynn from his appearances in upscale TV and as one of the 4 featured sommeliers in the Somm, the documentary. DLynn brings more than 20 years of passion and experience in the wine business to this discussion. And he is the estate director at Fantasca Estate and Winery here in the Napa Valley. If you haven't done so already, please find out where you can purchase and add some of the Premiere Napa Valley wines to your cellar by visiting Premiere Napa Valley, premierenapavalley.com and our Build Your Collection sale. There's some amazing rare finds on there for you to buy and to add to your cellar and maybe even enjoy this holiday season. So DLynn, why don't you come on camera and I'll let you take over the discussion and help us understand what are Premiere Napa Valley wines and how do they get made. So DLynn, thank you so much for being here.
Connor, thanks so much, man. I really appreciate the wonderful intro. And yeah, I'm excited to be here, man. I've been waiting for this for a few weeks. You know, I'm always looking forward to P&V. Obviously, we're kicking off the 3rd annual P&V Wine Week. And look, as you mentioned, you know, I've got 2 amazing winemakers that are going to come on the screen very, very shortly. And you know what we're going to do, man? We're really going to discover the wines of P&V. Not all of them that are being offered, but of course, wines from Turnbull, Cellars, as well as Gene Edwards. But, you know, we're going to discover these wines. We're going to learn how to taste with these amazing winemakers. I mean, we're going to learn and see what their approach to blending is. You know, these winemakers and myself, we like to call it the art of blending. And look, we're going to get some notes on the 21 vintage, some notes on the 20 vintage, as well as the 19 vintage, because we do have some wines from the 19 vintage that are going to be talked about today. So I'm excited to be on with Connor, Napa Valley Vintners, and again, kicking off the 3rd annual P&V Wine Week. Is that a hashtag? Do we hashtag that now? I think we do. P&V Wine Week. So excited to get both of these amazing winemakers on, Mr. Peter Heitz of Turnbull, as well as Kian Tavakoli of Gene Edwards. So, gents, come on in. Let's have some fun. Let's talk about these wines. Let's talk about these lots. And I want to see where your chemistry is, where your brain is, and you know these amazing things that you're going to tell these guests today. So, how are you, gents? Welcome.
Doing great. Thanks, DLynn.
DLynn, thanks for the great welcome again, and happy to be here as well. Looking forward to this presentation.
Outstanding, and happy to see some of you last night celebrating Napa and the Napa Valley. It's great to get, you know, a few of us together and in the same room, chatting and celebrating each other and kind of raising a glass to this amazing 21 harvest. And, you know, like I say, 20 was great for some, and I really like the 20 vintage. And the cool thing about the 20 vintage is I think Peter is going to really kick this off talking about the 20 vintage, because I believe I might have some 2020 samples from you right in front of me.
You do, indeed. Thank you, DLynn. Yeah, the 2020 vintage was a challenge for the valley, and but we're a strong and connected group of farmers and winemakers that have deep roots in these soils and in these vine rows and in cellars. Turnbull, of course, is 100% estate grown. So as a farmer, we had farmed grapes all season long, from pruning to bud break to protecting those delicate buds during frost and through the entirety of growing season. So when the fires broke out in I think it was in early September, we were all in on our estate fruit, and having a brick and mortar winery that is there and staffed with my great team. I wanted to pick the grapes and see what would come out of them. I thought for sure that they'd be ruined from the air. But the wines that DeLynn and Kian and I have to taste, and then you guys will get to taste when you taste eventually the 2020 vintage, they're fantastic. Not in any way affected by the smoke of that year. Unbelievable, but the result was great. There's going to be a lot of wineries that reasonably were injured and damaged by the smoke and chose not to make wine and have an authentic and real story of not making wines that year. They in some parts were purchasing fruit, and if I had been purchasing fruit, my move definitely would have been to be like, well, that seems sketchy. I'm not buying that grape. Or if I was paying someone else to host my winemaking project in their awesome cellar, to not do that would also be a sustainable and noble, good move on a business front to not make that wine. So there's lots of folks that didn't make it 2020 due to different economic pressures and concern for smoke taint that seemed very real. The logistical pressures on me as an estate farmer were different, and we picked grapes and made wine, and I thought we were just gonna send them off to the people that put the powder on the raisins on Raisin Bran. Just like this, we were gonna declassify it, and we were gonna learn a little bit about making wines in a difficult year, and pay my awesome team to pick grapes and to make some wines. But we ended up picking them and making them, and they turn into lovely wines that are fresh and bright and wines that I'd have on my own holiday table. And so that's the exciting bit of 2020, and I'm pretty excited. I think I'll probably be one of the rare wineries that offers a 2020 vintage Premiere lot, and I think it's one of the best wines we've ever made. I'm super excited about it.
I love that. I'm excited to taste these wines. It looks like we've got some 337 in front of me. I've got some C clone as well as some clone 7. So what I would love for you to do is really, I want you to guide us. I want you to direct us. I mean, we've got a lot of amazing people on the line right now viewing this, and which of these should I pour first? And I really want to know what your thinking was with these lots and these blocks and these rolls, of course, and these barrel selections.
Yeah, thank you. It's interesting. Napa Valley Vintners, amazing organization that binds us all together and helps us both technically and in a loving way make the best wines possible. Guides our intentions in the best way. They were looking for a winemaker to come on this program with you, DeLynn, and talk about how it is that we craft a Premiere lot. And so Premiere Napa Valley is the best of the best. It's a special bottling. Turnbull usually offers a 5-case bottling. Some people are with deeper cellars might do a 20-case bottling, but it is a separate wine that you cannot get anywhere else. And so when these bottles end up on a restaurant wine list or your favorite bottle shop, those hosts of these wines have really they have found a magic gem. And it is a spectacular thing that you will never see again. It is a one-time offering of the most special thing. Everyone that I know that participates in Premiere Napa Valley, it is the magic unicorn that's hiding in the cellar that is offered. It is the best of the best. And so my process, I think the idea was that we'd be working on a blend or some sort of way of constructing the wine from pieces. And I literally, Turnbull's estate vineyards generate 700 to 900 estate red wine barrels per vintage. And I literally taste each and every one of them every month outside of harvest when I'm busy with the new wines, and continually making notes and finding the little halo here and the stray cat over there, and looking and winnowing for the best of the best. And after that time, I find a couple magic barrels and literally bottle 5 cases out of my favorite barrel in the cellar. And so my process for that is not very well suited to a blending session, because that's just not how I conceive of the best. The best of the best can be a blend that the winemaker's hand, I think Kian's gonna show us how that works, is to take different components. He's got Malbec and two different great Cabernet vineyards, and he's going to fuse those together and show us a final blend that's going to be awesome. I'm just a farmer, and I'm looking in my wheat field looking for the most glorious shaft of wheat. And so there's the magic is in the restraint of knowing that I can do no better than what Mother Nature gifts me, and staying out of the way. But you still have to go find the thing. And so for the purposes of this discussion, I've provided 3 different clonal selections of Cabernet. There's a clone 337. So in Cabernet or Pinot Noir or Chardonnay or any grape variety, there's many different iterations of the same thing. So just like in apples, there's Pink Ladies and there's Green Delicious and Granny Smiths and Fuji's, and they're all really different. And then they taste different. They have different texture. They have different flavor density. They're even used differently. A Granny Smith is a baking apple that you'd use in a pie, but you maybe wouldn't eat it fresh. And Pink Lady, you wouldn't bake with. The texture would fall apart. So in Cabernet, there's different clonal material, different genetic traits, different selections that have been made by humans hundreds of years ago to differentiate what people like. And there's a host of different clones of Cabernet. And I picked 3 of them here. 337 is one that I like a lot. It tends to be feminine and a little bit more mineral driven.
Yep.
Clone 7 is one that I think has great floral uplift and focus. And then the C clone is an old clone that I think in this case, compared with these other 2 fresh beauties, brings a little bit more baritone weight to it. But in the scale of Cabernet clones in the Napa Valley, I would say all 3 of them are on the fresh and pretty end of things.
Yeah.
But these are 3 of my favorites. And so since we're talking about the best of the best, of course, I'm going to go into my bag of barrels and find my favorites. And so I picked, these are 3 samples that I sampled out of barrel yesterday morning. And DLynn came by and picked his up, and Kian was nice enough to do all the pouring of his samples at the Turnbull. And so the 3 of us have these different samples. Thank you guys for doing all the hard work to get them all distributed. And so I'd probably taste these from like light to dark, just like you would in any tasting. If you're starting a wine tasting, you start with a crisp white wine and you end up with a power dark bruiser of a wine. So here I'd start with the 337. They're really fancy. I've got them marked with painter's tape. Yeah. And so the 337, so these are young. They're 2020 Cabernet Sauvignon, so they're just babies, but the vintage is super fresh. So I guess what I like about all of them is they have a vibrancy and a fruit purity, and power and density is something that we can, as winemakers, you can make that. You can use a powerful barrel. You can do a long extraction. You can ripen your fruit to a high degree. You can drain off some of the juice and hyper concentrate the skins. As a winemaker, you have the opportunity to do different things to make the wine. And the best wines, of course, I'm sure Kian and DLynn would agree with me, they are not made. You have restraint as a maker to hang back. So it's like going to the fishmonger. She has a fresh ahi. You need a sharp knife. You're having sashimi. You're not making fish stew tonight. And so the goal with really good winemaking is to recognize the ingredient and then step back from it and only be present when it needs you and never more. So kind of a do no harm aspect. And so these 3 wines are the art of restraint winemaking, where there's really nothing going on other than great grapes from an awesome vineyard in Oakville doing its magic stuff, and me and the team just being there to do the physical work of converting grapes into wine, but nothing more. And so the 337, and aromatically, it's fresh and vibrant. It's like muddled boysenberries and raspberries, fresh red fruit, very lifted and almost monolithic in a crystallized red fruit way. That's really pretty and so pure. It has a lightness on palate that is special. and clean. And I guess like what I love about that is there's like no artifact of anything other than like the rays of sunshine in a vineyard in the springtime. It feels like a baby wine, and it is. It's a 2020.
Of course, of course.
Yeah.
Now, Peter, I know you are very, very soft-spoken, but I will ask, let's turn your volume up just a pinch. Look, I was around you last night and right in front of you, like, this guy's a soft voice. And I picked up wines from you today.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not a very technical person. Here, I'll just talk closer to the computer. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Dylan. Sorry to be quiet. Anyways, I'm gonna pour the next wine.
Yeah.
Now my head looks huge, but it's only so I can talk closer to wherever this microphone is. I do have a big head, but it's not. So this is the Clone 7, and Clone 7. It's a little more resonant in the nose. There's a little bit more power here, and it has. I think there's a little bit wider shoulder weight and more dark fruit. And I feel like it's a little bit more has a deeper voice.
Yeah.
It's a little bit louder. And I guess I feel like that could be something, but the trade-off is in that wine is that it doesn't have as much focus in the finish. It's a little bit wider in the mid palate. There's more tannin structure, which is exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't like laser focus in the finish, and I like that in the first wine. And then the third wine that I've got is a C clone, and that is this is going to show the same vintage, same vineyard, same farming practices. These 3 blocks actually they're planted at about the same era or the same year.
I was going there next.
Same row orientation. So the differences here really, and the same rootstock. So what we're looking at are simply the 3 different clonal materials. We could. I'm being suggested to use some sort of, maybe this will improve the situation. I don't know. Very old school. Does that help?
Oh, wow. Crystal clear.
Okay.
Crystal.
Yeah. Is that better?
I think everybody's like amazing in the comments. Amazing. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Much better,
Okay.
Peter. Much better.
Okay. Good. Sorry. We're gonna do this now. I look like.
You got to start over again.
Yeah. Really. I'm sorry. So this is the C clone now, and now that I've been. Thanks, hon. So this is C clone, and I think that the now I sound like I'm in a tunnel to me, but it sounds good to you guys. That's great. The C clone has both a floral richness to it and a dark fruited aspect. And so I think it might be the best of the 2 worlds, where Clone 337 brought in floral precision and red fruit and a simplicity of purity and focus. And the Clone 7 had more mid palate weight and richness, but was truncated in the finish. I feel like the C clone combines more of the floral aspect, but it's fused with black fruits. So you get this really great kind of like jungle cat aspect to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that's the winner right there. And so I think it's kind of fun. I mean, I'm doing this through 800 barrels, but in this case, this little limited set, there's real differences. And then amongst those clonal materials, we have used coopers, the folks, the fine folks that make awesome barrels. We've used 20 different French oak coopers, 4 different forests, 3 different toasting levels, and that matrix of those barrels. And then there's new barrels, second turn barrels, third turn barrels. I'm not a big oak guy. Turnbull's about 20% new oak. If you have good ingredients, you don't really need heavy spicing.
Agreed.
So, when you layer all those different aspects on, you really get a chance to like find the magic barrel. And I'm super excited about the vintage. I think it's going to be exciting. I love Premiere. It's one of my favorite events of the year. I love going and tasting. Can't wait to taste what Kian's final blend is, and seeing everybody and tasting those wines. And it's really great to then go see them in a wine shop and on a restaurant wine list, and get to meet the people that are enjoying these special wines. It's magic.
Yeah, yeah. Now, before we jump to Kian, how are you going to approach the final blend when it's time for you to get these wines right before bottling? How are you going to approach this final blend here?
Well, what I do is I put the barrel in the cellar, and then I kind of get in a low crouch and just kind of like start. I have one of those blow up sumo suits on. It's pretty sexy. And as I approach it, I kind of do a sideways hustle, and oh, that's not what you meant. Oh, it's awkward. No, sorry. The people are waving me off. They're like, no, that's not it. No, the approach to the blend would be literally to find. I will taste the barrels over and over again. Got some pretty big speakers in the barrel room.
Mm-hmm.
I usually do this at night after everyone's left. I turn up the music really loud, and then drink a lot of barrels. I've had to be picked up a couple times. There's a sweet spot where you stop thinking about it too much and you just feel it.
Yeah.
And you know it when you taste it. It sounds ridiculously simple, but the key is to not think about it too much, and just feel how the wine moves you. Like, wine should be both interesting and delicious. You guys have had those magic moments where you taste a wine and it combines some sort of sizzle in your brain or a little pop of your heart, and you're engaged with the wine both from a pleasurable mouth feel, and also you wonder, like, what is that aroma? What is that taste? Where did that transport me to? Those taste memories like come back, there's some ancient summer, some camping trip you were on, some moment that you'd forgotten all about deep inside your subconscious. And wine can transport you back to those things. And so I guess I'm always looking for something that's both pure and focused and fresh, but at the same time unfolds the mystery of why it is that we like wine. Why is it that we're alive? How do we breathe? And when you combine that kind of thrill of discovery with pure pleasure, that's a winning wine. And so I think everyone that's making a Premiere wine is capturing that lightning in a bottle. I mean, it sounds hokey, but that's really the whole deal, is to, these wines are the best of the best. There's nothing, if you like wine, if you're into Napa Valley, if you're hunting something special that no one else has ever had, that no one else will ever have again, that you can share with family and friends over the holidays or anytime on a Tuesday with tacos. These are those wines. They're really special. And so my approach to that what is it? It's a feeling that you get when you taste it, and you know when you taste it.
You know it when you taste it. You're absolutely right. Now, have you thought of a name for this lot yet? Because we've got some amazing and really cool names for lots over the years.
I could use some help on that front, DeLynn. Maybe we do like a DeLynn Kian Napa Valley Vintners mashup thing. I don't know.
I like it.
What did your license? Your license plate was super cool. It was you're the second.
We can't tell everybody watching, Peter.
Oh, sorry. Anyways, I don't know. On the way to work this morning, I was being followed by this truck, and I swear they had like a small bobcat or something like strapped to the hood. And I was gonna call the sheriff. I thought maybe they were like, but then I noticed that their license plate was like the people that like stabilize dead animals to taxidermists.
Oh yeah.
They were like, it was like the license plate was like taxidermy love or something like that, and I was like, wow, like there's something for everybody out there. And so cool names can come out of magic and out of thin air. I haven't planned a cool name for the wine yet. I'm not big on marketing. I'm big on what's in the bottle. So whatever we get in the bottle will be magic. That could be the name. It'll be magic.
It could be. It could be magic. I like that. Well, I do want to bring Mr. Kian Tavakoli in right now. And for anyone that is just joining, remember this is PNV's third annual PNV Wine Week. And I am here with two incredible winemakers, Mr. Kian Tavakoli, as well as Mr. Peter Heitz, of course, of Gene Edwards and Turnbull, respectively. And thank you for taking us through that wonderful lineup, Peter. I will say the Clone 7 that is in front of me of the three separate blends here.
Yeah, that's the one.
Here. Clone 7 is, oh man, it's killer. It's smoking.
Okay, great.
It's a direct and focused wine. It's got lift, it's got pitch, and it's making me very happy. So I guess personally for myself, I hope that the blend of the Clone 7 is going to be a little higher, but either way.
I love that. That is a special wine to me too. So it very well could be that way. The barrels go through seasons. In the winter, they taste different than they do in the spring. So little shifts in temperature and in your own ethos in your head change how the wines taste.
Yeah.
Okay,
Now,
I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Now, Kian, look, we're excited to taste yours as well. You've been patiently quiet there with your 4 glasses in front of you, and I've got your selections here as well. I'm excited for you to talk about, and maybe I shouldn't take this thunder from you, but talk about the Toisé, if you will, this collection of 19 wonderful lots that I've got here. Malbec, I've got the Yates Cabernet Sauvignon Stagecoach Cab, as well as a final blend. So excited to have you on, Kian, and tell us about these wonderful gems we've got in front of us.
Yeah, thanks, Lynn. Great to be here. And again, it's going to be kind of tough to follow Peter's awesome presentation, waxing eloquent about the magic of PNV and all the wonderful wines that everybody gets a chance to get a hold of once they can find the location where the trade members were able to successfully bid on these. And just a little bit of history with Gene Edwards. This is going to be Gene Edwards' 5th participation in PNV. They're very excited to do it. They're a very small brand. Karen and John Toisé are actually located in New Jersey. So they're basically dual coast vintners, where during the off season, they're taking care of their Labrador Retriever or their Black Lab over in New Jersey, as well as family there. And then during harvest and bottling time, they trek on out here to hang out with me and take care of their wines, particularly when it comes to blending these wines. And as far as their Premiere selection, this is a 2019 that we're going to be offering at the 2022 PNV. Mainly because they were originally ready to participate in the 21 version, but with the pandemic and all the exciting stuff that happened last year, it became a little bit complicated in terms of being able to participate in the 21 PNV. So basically, they shelved the wine and were ready to introduce it and bring it to the world for the 2022 PNV. It's called a Toisé. So basically, there's a lot of French terms there. Toisé, it's kind of an extension of the number 3. Their last name, that is their last name. Gene Edwards, incidentally, is their middle name of each of them. Karen and John, who are the owners, their middle names are Gene and Edward. So they decided that would be a fun kind of a play on as far as their brand name. And when they started PNV, the first year, the plan was to kind of play along with that trois term, the number 3, and make a blend using 3 of the different components of wines that they source from. So Gene Edwards doesn't own any vineyards. They source all their fruit from really prominent and high quality vineyards, including Stagecoach and Yates, which you have in front of you this evening, DLynn. And then they also have a few other vineyards that they source fruit from. So they get Merlot and they also get Malbec as well. But the whole point of putting the Premiere blend together was to try and find the most complex and the most complete 3-lot blend, whether it was going to be all the same variety, all cabs, or whether it was going to be a blend of the different non-cab varieties to put together a very unique and a very approachable blend, because at the end of the day, we really wanted these wines to shine fairly early so that you wouldn't need to lay them down for 15, 20 years before they started to sing. We really wanted them to have that ability to show off their full potential quite early post bottling. And with the 2019 version, we actually did find that blending a little bit of the Malbec in the final blend added that approachability, that velvet and silky texture, which I'm sure you'll probably come across when you get to tasting it. But in terms of going through the lineup, I think ideally it would be great to taste it in the order of the blend percentages. And the biggest percentage in this blend is the Yates Cabernet. And Yates is a vineyard in Mount Veeder, tends to produce very refined wines. It's not as bold and in your face as cabs from Howell Mountain or even Atlas Peak or up where Stagecoach Vineyard is. So it tends to have a little bit more of that real polish and that refinement. Then we blend it in, and that's 75%, by the way, in the final blend. And then we blend it in about 20% of the Stagecoach to give the wine its structure. The Stagecoach block that we get fruit from, and Stagecoach is a very big vineyard for anybody who's not familiar with that site, but it's 200 plus acres. It kind of spans over multiple microclimates. And this particular block where Gene Edwards sources their cab from is, it's basically a Pritchard Hill site. In fact, the previous owner of Stagecoach, Jan Krupp, called it the Pritchard Hill section of his vineyard. You know, even though he didn't market it, because there'll definitely be some issues there with the people that were on Pritchard Hill, just over on the other side of the hill. And that vineyard, that block, historically just gives us very structured and very grippy wine. So it's basically the tannin portion of the blend. And then the Malbec comes from a Rutherford site, and it's a very, very special little block because you don't get a lot of Malbec grown in Napa these days. Most growers, they want to sell cab. When you see the average Napa price for Cabernet, yeah, it kind of makes all growers go, why should I plant nothing but cab? But it's great to be able to get us a handle and get our hands on some Malbec to give the wine that flesh and that roundness, which sometimes Merlot takes care of. But in this particular version, the 2019, the Malbec took care of it.
Yeah, these are fantastic. I love the Malbec. I'm really loving the opulence of the Stagecoach. It's really, really pretty, and it's almost buoyant. I love using the word buoyancy, and that's a hard thing to kind of explain to someone when you're talking about that tactile sensation. But for me, the Stagecoach is a very buoyant wine, so I love it.
Yeah, we're huge fans of Stagecoach as well. In fact, Karen and John, they started their brand back in 2004. And 2004, they made one wine, and that was a Stagecoach cab. And they have been making a Stagecoach vineyard designated cab since then. So we've had a very nice history with that vineyard. Now, we haven't always made it from the same block. Mm-hmm. We've been moved around, but we've actually settled and found our home with this block for the last 6 years now. And Yates is actually fairly new to the portfolio. We've been making Yates Cab for about 5 years now, and yeah, that's another phenomenal site just up there on Mount Veeder, not too far away from Hess Select. And that one has actually a lot of different site varieties as well. I should say there's Cap Franc, there's Merlot, but really we get their Clone 337 cab from Block 3B. So, and in 19, it developed such roundness and refinement, and it really could kind of hold on its own. But you know, Gene Edwards does produce a lot of kind of AV8 style wines or AV8 type wines. So that's why blending these three different sites, these three different varieties from different AVAs is the perfect kind of unique blend to make for PNV.
Yeah. Now for both of you, Kian and Peter, How do these samples that I have before me right now, how do these differ from the wines that both of you make on a yearly basis? How are they stylistically different? What really separates them? Of course, we know we have special lots and blocks and rolls, and then you've got the barrel selection that you taste once a week, once a month, and you're really diving into these. What makes them so different from the amazing wines that Turnbull produces every single vintage, as well as Gene Edwards?
So I'll just jump in real quickly and just to echo my previous comment in that Gene Edwards really has kind of established their identity as AVA developed wine. So they make a Stagecoach vineyard designated wine. They make a Rutherford designated wine. They also make Yates family. So they're really big fans of exhibiting a particular vineyard and a particular AVA, not to mention variety too. They also have been making a wine called 7441, which is 100% Cabernet. And 7441 is their longitude and latitude coordinates of their home in New Jersey. So there's definitely a lot of this kind of personal components that go into making Gene Edward wines, because it's kind of like their story, their history, and they're basically producing these wines every year and making and showing all of their consumers and their club members what each year is offering to each of these sites. So to make the PNV block, we wanted to take the best components of each of these AVAs and put it into one blend. But we're limited to the 3 lots. We can't like go, oh, you know what, a little bit of Cab Franc or Merlot would also be really great, but you know what, we kind of got to stick with what we started with back with the first vintage of PNV and use the 3 best lots that could make the best blend. Now, at blending time, it does cause a lot of back and forth between John, Karen, and myself in terms of what are the 3 lots to go through. But so far, we've actually been able to always agree that there hasn't been any agreeing to disagree session, so which is always nice.
Love that. What about you, Peter?
Yeah, thank you, Dylan. I would say that the one of the key differences with the PNV lot would be that it's such a small little gem that logistics don't play a part in it. It's we can be very nimble. It'd be like taking a weekend, like an overnight trip to a nearby beach or something with your partner. It can be fun and spontaneous, and you don't have to do a lot of work about planning it. Whereas when you're constructing, Turnbull's Black Label, and we're talking about 80 barrels of killer Oakville goodness, and organizing the glass bottles and the labels and all of that material. I'm like working on that now for bottling late next summer. So I'm locking that in all along the way. And this gets to be like this is like the cream that rises on top of that. It's a little halo. And you can just peel the halo anytime you want. So since it's such a small little gem, I'm not looking for the mother lode. This is like the little sparkle, and the ease and fun of hunting that and finding that and then bottling it. It's literally, I'm literally bottling the bottles. There's no machinery and there's nothing involved. It's both the most simple and pure expression of the cellar, and it's the simplest, most pure expression of the cellar. So for good or for bad, there's nothing standing in the way of this being the halo. It's unbridled. It's the wild wine, and it gets to be free. There's no PNV does it, and Napa Valley Vineyards does a great job. Connor and the whole team bring together the labels, the logistics of like getting them. The bottles are beautifully packaged. Yeah. Awesome partner down in Napa does that for everybody. They're all tissue wrapped and boxed beautifully and waxed and all that stuff. I don't have to worry about any of that. It's great. I love it. All I have to do is worry about what's inside the bottle. And so the ease of that lets me focus entirely only on what's in the bottle. And and I can pull the trigger on which barrel is that? It can be the day we bottle. What's that feeling? It's the instantaneous. And that's, there's something real and special about instantaneous love that you can't, it's not something you can plan.
Ladies and gentlemen, evening soliloquies from Mr. Peter Heitz. I love it. Well, in closing, everyone, I just want you to remember, historically, these wines have only been available for top members of the wine trade. But now they are available for you, the consumer, the collector, the avid Napa Valley wine enthusiast. So make sure you hop on to premierenapavalley.com, jump onto the website, look into building your collection, and you will see. I mean, look, I've seen vintages offered from some of the amazing members of Napa Valley Vintners going back to like 99 and some 2000s, 04s and 05s. Obviously, both of you have some 17s on the site. But you know, the 09 vintage, 10 vintage, the 11 vintage. So ladies and gentlemen, build your collection. Remember, these wines will never be replicated. These are once in a vintage wines from some of the most sought after and best winemakers in the Valley. Yes, Peter.
DLynn, so through that site, it connects you to a wine shop that's selling them?
Absolutely. They've
So
got a wonderful online marketplace.
I can get in on that?
Hey, get in on it, man. You're a consumer too, right?
I am. I love buying wine. My wife will tell you, I love wine. I buy wine. I'm going on there right now. I'm going to go buy I know my 2017 Premiere lot was off the hook.
Off the hook. It's there.
And I know that a lot of my friends made killer wines too. I am going to go on. Can you tell us the website again? What is it? It's through where?
PremiereNapaValley.com, and you can click on and I'm sure Connor is going to put something in the notes,
Okay.
but you can click onto the online marketplace. And look, I've been scrolling all day.
I gotta go.
Yeah.
I'm going right now.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I can't wait to go check it out. That's
Spanning
rad.
26 different vintages, new release and library.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, hey, in wrapping, again, I just want to remind everyone this is the third annual PNV Wine Week from the Napa Valley Vintners and Premiere Napa Valley. We are excited to have this open to consumers, collectors, and avid Napa Valley wine enthusiasts. I really, really thank Mr. Kian Tavakoli for all of his time here talking about the lovely wines from Gene Edwards and a little bit of their history and the sights and the stories and Stagecoach and Yates and the Malbec. This final blend, which I have in my glass now, is wonderful. And I'd like to thank Mr. Peter Heitz as well. Twice in 24 hours I've seen you, Peter. Gee.
So it was great to get to meet you last night. And
absolutely.
I'm looking forward to hanging out and pulling some corks with you.
We will, man. We're going to pull some corks, and I'm probably going to beg you for some of this this Clone 7 here. Look, I love the C's and I love the 337, the OG 337, but this 7 is amazing, and the Stagecoach from Kian is amazing. And I think once you guys and gals are able to get your hands on these wines come next year, you're going to be very, very, very excited.
I'm actually curious if today was the day that Peter was bottling. Which one of the clones would he be bottling?
Good question, Kian. Great question.
It's kind of funny. I mean, I've been tasting them back and forth, and I could see some benefit to the Clone 7, DLynn. So we're gonna call it. You'll be in there. I'm gonna talk to Connor about getting my labels all set up with some sort of homage.
Absolutely. Well, a big thank you to the Napa Valley Vintners. Big shout out to PNV and PNV Wine Week that technically kicked off yesterday. We are in day 2 of it with these wonderful sessions. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, build your cellar. We're thankful to have your support here in the great Napa Valley. Signing off from Spring Mountain, of course, as well. And Peter and Kian, thanks so much. And I look forward to seeing you in the Valley at all these wonderful events that are being opened back up and some great dinners around. And let's all pull some corks.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Good night.